Really. I've been all over the Muslim world, and what I found is Muslims genuinely treat peoples of other faiths with respect. So if you're wondering what's happened now, why are they presenting us as persecutors of Christians? And isn't it odd that these churches have been there for centuries? Isn't it funny that somehow, suddenly, Muslims just woke up 1,400 years later and realized all this time we weren't practicing Islam by letting these churches exist? And finally, we've realized that this is the true teaching of Islam in this brilliantly enlightened age of Islamic scholarship. That we've discovered that the real Islam is to blow these churches up. No, maybe it's because they're so fed up with being bombed by Christians that they're going to give a little taste of their own, which to me is not Islam, undeniably. But if you want to understand this thing at a deeper level, we have to ask deeper questions. We have to ask deeper questions. Why are people so sick? Maybe it's our societies that are making people so sick. Muslims are maladjusted to the modern world. Well, maybe when you have such sick, unbalanced conditions on this planet, that by their very nature they engender this maladjusted attitude towards the world. This is a big problem that we have. Our Ummah, one of my favorite poems is by Robert Frost. He says, some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. And to me, what that poem is about the disease of desire, of worldly desire, this consumptive disease that human beings have, of just indulging their desires, and then this other, where the people anger. This is what they used to call the irascible and the concupiscible soul. The irascible soul, that emotions take over and people become angry. And then, or the other is that passion takes over and people just become dissolute. They become libertines. They just indulge their enjoyment and pleasure becomes their goals in life. These are the two things that are destroying our planet. We have this small portion of the planet that is living in appetites. All they know is to consume and that life is about pleasure. All you have to do is watch any of these ads out there. Just look at these ads that are surround Times Square, all around us. Just look at the ads that they put up there and tell me that those ads aren't designed to make people desire. The big apple, just desire. Bite into the apple. Enjoy. You only have one life. Live that life. This is one part of the equation. But the other part is all of these places where there's so much neglect and human beings are becoming filled with anger and rage and hatred. They're really being filled with anger and rage and hatred. And instead of addressing these problems that need to be addressed, instead of addressing these problems, we just say, what's wrong with those people? While we never ask ourselves, what's wrong with us? Because if anybody came from a pre-modern society and looked at our civilization and just analyzed it with brutal honesty, they would be amazed. Look at our reality television shows. Look at our advertisements. Look at how we prostitute women. And when feminists start complaining about prostituting women, instead of removing the female prostitution of objectifying the women, they just said, you're right. That's unfair. Let's objectify the men as well. And so now we have to see naked men in all these commercials. It used to be the naked women. Now it's Calvin Klein with the guy with those tight underpants that are very dangerous because they elevate the temperature and the sperm count goes down. It's well known, right? Right? Seriously, it's well known. I mean, there's a reason why God created it, right? The temperature is a little different from the rest of the body. It's a medical fact. So wear boxers, men. But this is the society that we've got, right? And then we have politicians that have completely sold out to the corporations. And look at our civilization. Look at our education. Education is not about learning anymore. It's simply about getting a job. And that's how it's marketed. This is going to be good for your living. You're going to make more money. It's not about why am I here? Where did I come from? Where am I going? Those questions were resolved in this civilization. Why are you here to consume? Where are you going? Oblivion. What should I do in the meantime? Consume. Right? These are the answers. And then you have these people, really like Bill Maher, I mean this great philosophical mind, this genius, who pontificates from this ridiculous bully pulpit that he's been given about Islam. Right? He knows nothing about Islam. He knows nothing about 1,200 years of scholarship. I have a library filled with hundreds of volumes of commentary on the Quran, of the most sophisticated linguistic analyses of every point, of every word, of every letter that was mentioned in the Quran. Civilizations that literally, men and women who spent their lives exhausting their existence in this book, and yet this book isn't even worth reading. 1,400 years. 1 out of every 4 people on this planet is a Muslim. So to demonize them is to demonize 1/4 of humanity. It's absolutely insane, but this is what's being done. I said earlier, I literally feel like a Jew in 1933 in Nazi Germany, when Hitler just got elected chancellor in a democratically elected election. And I'm sure those Jews, like us, Muslims today, sat around saying, how bad do you think it's going to get? Sure is getting bad, isn't it? Whew. Man, CNN's even hitting on us now. It used to be just Fox News. What's next? I'm sure that's how the Jews sounded 1933. They couldn't get... They're Germans. We've been here for centuries. The Germans would never do that to us. They turn on us like that. Right? That's not the way it turned out. Kristallnacht, right? Kristallnacht, break us, smash all their... We've got all these poor Muslims out there selling halal hot dogs on street corners in New York. At which time are they going to start thinking, maybe those hot dogs are poison? These guys are terrorists. They're all terrorists. My dad, who signed up to join the United States Air Force at the age of 16 with parental permission. He was in a very elite Catholic prep school, signed up like many young men at his age did. Right? He had to wait till he was 17, and then he went in right? But he told me, he remembered a cartoon. And it was a cartoon that had, the first frame had Hitler saying the world is flat. And everybody in the audience saying, that's absolutely ridiculous. Everybody knows it's round. And then the next frame, it has Hitler saying the world is flat. And then the people said, well, what's the proof that it's actually round? And then the next frame, Hitler saying the world is flat. And then the people are saying, he's got a point. And then the last frame, Hitler says the world is flat, and everybody jumps up shouting the world is flat. If you tell a lie long enough and unrelentingly, people begin to believe it. We are being set up as a civilization. It's not going to be difficult to drop an atom bomb on Muslim countries. Sam Harris argued for that in The End of Faith. I'm telling you the truth. And if you don't believe it, then you don't know anything about human history. You don't know how bad things can get. And I'm not here just in doom and gloom. I'm here because we as a community have to take responsibility. We have to. We have to get out there. We have to empower the people that are out there, because we still have some allies. We're losing a lot of people, but we still have allies out there. After 9/11, we had flowers in our masjids. Do you remember that? We had flowers in our masjid. We had hundreds of calls to our masjid at the MCA of people saying, I'm so sorry what happened. I heard some mosques were attacked. We're against this. You're part of our country. This is how people thought. But they have had 15 years of Islamophobia. They have had 15 years of an incredibly well-financed operation to demonize our community, to demonize our physicians, to demonize our women, to demonize the hijab. And now the prophetic seal is turned out to be like the swastika, the black flags. And that's the seal of the Prophet ﷺ on that flag. But it's become a sign of evil. Now, as far as I can tell, we don't have the institutional strength in this country to deal with this problem right now. But we have to get it. Or else do like the wealthy Jews did and go find somewhere to go. There's not many places left. But all the wealthy Jews got out. When they saw the tide turning, they said, I'm getting out of here, because I see where this is going. But for some of us, and we've got some old warriors in here, older warriors, politically correct. Imam Abdul Latif, seriously, are you here still? Imam Abdul Latif?
He had to leave.
He had to leave. This man, I mean, these people, they were here very early on when a lot of immigrants came here. And one of the biggest mistakes, strategically, but also morally, one of the biggest mistakes that I believe the immigrant community did in coming to this country is not realizing that their natural allies were in the African American community. And supporting those communities, helping them build their masjids, helping them improve their condition. Imam Siraj went all over this country raising money for mosques all over, and it was a disgrace to our community that he had such a difficult time raising funds for that masjid at-Taqwa in Brooklyn. We need to be more far-sighted in our community. And that's really, I mean, I was going to talk about education for a higher purpose, but I never talk about what I'm told to talk about. I apologize. I did have, you know, it's about education because, you know, like the bumper sticker says, if you think education's expensive, try ignorance. I mean, we've got, you know, it's going to take billions of dollars now. They're asking, the Palestinians in Gaza now are asking for billions of dollars to rebuild all that infrastructure that was destroyed. Dollars that could have been used to upgrade their school systems, that could have been used to really benefiting the people in that, but no, they're just going to rebuild what they already had. This is the thing. And it's a type of madness that we're in as a community. And then we've got the other side, because that's the ice, right? That's where, you know, justifiable anger is. That's the ice. But then you look at the fire. We've got Muslims that build giant buildings and tear them down to rebuild them just because they can make more money. That's going on in another part of the Muslim world. It's amazing. Right? So we've got bombs dropping on these, and then we've got the demolition, right, going on those, different type of dynamite internal. So one of the things that this book, which I made my students read at Zaytuna, this book was written by John Walbridge. It's called God and Logic in Islam, the Caliphate of Reason. Right now we have the Caliphate, right, of chopping off heads. And somebody asked me, you know, I was telling somebody the other day, you know, he's saying, you know, those chopping off heads, what's happening? I said, it's the drugs. You mean they're on drugs? I said, no, it's because we buy drugs. That's why they chop off heads. And, you know, because we've created these monsters through drug consumption. It's like, what are you talking about? Are you on drugs? I said, you're talking about the Mexican beheadings, aren't you? Because those go on every day. Nobody talks about all the Mexicans getting their heads chopped off in Juarez, right? There's no American deployment of troops down there to stop those heads getting chopped off of innocent Mexican people that had to get in the way of the drogadores, right? Why is it when a handful of Muslims that don't even statistically represent the number of Ku Klux Klan members in the United States, why is our entire religion and civilization being described based upon a group that doesn't even represent the Ku Klux Klan members? Why is that? And by the way, they're recruiting right now. I don't know if you're aware of that, but the Ku Klux Klan, this is an opportunity. These are great times for insane people. Insanity.